There are 4 primary ways to share data from a Notion database. We'll cover them from the simplest to the most secure, and then discuss advanced use cases that are made possible by data replication. We start with the basics by assuming you have a central task database. You can share access to the database and its views directly in Notion. Be careful that at the final prompt for adding people to your workspace, say skip for now. The default choice is to add to workspace, which is a billable event. This approach is free, simple, and grants your guest access to the entirety of the database that you share. The next approach is more common. You create different pages, each with a unique filtered view of the central database. You can then share the pages just like you did before. However, your guest won't see any data unless you also share the task database. And while it looks like it works by only showing the subset of the data you want, any user that opens a record in full page mode will get the breadcrumbs on top. Following those breadcrumbs will take them to the unfiltered central database. At that point, people could access data from other projects or clients. Thus, this second approach is only slightly better than the first. Unless you know about this security hole, you could inadvertently give away far more access than you intended. The real solution is greater permissions control from Notion, but it's not currently available. Fortunately, there's a good enough workaround to this problem. For this approach, you need to go to the actual database, not the views, and create an advanced filter. Then you make a logically impossible filter like X and not X. For example, created by me and also not created by me. You want a filter that can never return data. All of the data is still there and shows up in your other page views, but following breadcrumbs won't show anything that it's not supposed to because the breadcrumbs go to an empty view. And because it's an advanced filter, users you share access with can't change it. You also need to ensure that this is the only view on your master database. So while this is generally good enough, it still has a major security hole. Users can still export your entire database. If you're wondering, the export hole is right here. So this method is more appropriate for trusted contractors, colleagues, or internal users, but not for anything shared publicly or more sensitive in nature. Ultimately, we need a way to have full synchronization between different databases. This will give us full control over the content and access to a secondary database. We can choose whether external data comes into our central database, if selective data is pushed outward to customer-facing databases, or if syncing is filtered and bidirectional as we might want with the client portal. This approach has several benefits, but it requires external automation and it's a bit of a pain to set up the first time. I use Make.com to perform this operation, and at the end of this video I'll show you how to get the scripts. But first, let's see what this makes possible. For example, I have a project management framework for Notion. It has space for multiple projects, each of which points to central databases for tasks, notes, documents, and other items. It also has databases for tracking contacts and opportunities, which are my precursors to becoming projects. This is like a mini customer relations management tool. And there's a separate database for feature requests for the PM framework. Bidirectional replication comes in when I want to create portal access for my clients, allowing them to see and create new requests for their particular project. These clients don't have to be focused on Notion work at all, but they get a portal in Notion to make my work with them easier and transparent. Other times, I'm working with a client specifically on their Notion requirements inside of their workspace. I can also manage several clients at a time. Although the recent Home feature can consolidate tasks from multiple local databases, it does not work across workspaces when you have external Notion accounts. In these cases, all the work is done inside the client's workspace. With only a few modifications to the built-in Projects and Tasks template from Notion, I can synchronize across workspaces. All the task details remain in the client's workspace where they belong, but metadata, like the title, due date, and status, also appear on my side for planning across multiple clients and projects. Next, as much as I love Notion, certain features simply don't exist. Chiefly, it cannot manage email campaigns effectively, run SMS campaigns, or automate the nurturing of opportunities to clients. One can use templates and processes in Notion, but it's still a heavy lift. So I manage those missing functions inside of Go High Level under my agency account. Then, using modified versions of the synchronization scripts, I can work with contacts and opportunities in whichever tool I want and keep the objects synchronized. This lets me capitalize on each tool's best features without worrying about prospects falling through the cracks. Finally, I sell the project management framework for Notion in my consulting practice. It's a high-end Notion template plus about 30 external scripts that implement business rules on top of your Notion data. The framework is designed to be customized to my client's business process, and sometimes they have feature requests that are particular to their environment. Feature requests from multiple clients are pushed one way into my development workspace so that I have a central list, and requests that are most applicable to multiple clients get integrated into subsequent releases. In all of the scenarios for synchronization, we're dealing with variations of two different scripts. The first one manages outbound synchronization from the central to the remote databases. The second manages the reverse, from remote databases back to the central data. The link on the screen and comments provides detailed instructions on how the synchronization processes work so that you can implement them yourself. You can also contact me about your Notion project requirements, and I can implement the synchronization for you. I'm Ashley Guberman with Primary Goals.